seconds up. Now for our boxing from America.
Good evening and welcome to ringside at the Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City on the eastern seaboard, where we have an evening of Latin American boxing lined up for you. A couple of good-looking fights, and the first of them, a light flyweight affair between a hot young prospect. This is him, Michael Carbajal, Olympic silver medalist at the Seoul Olympics, bidding to extend his already unbeaten record against Santos Miguel Banda. Carbajal, he's got an American title fight lined up, so this is a crucial fight for him. Any slip up tonight could be disastrous. Now, as I said, Latin American boxing, and that means you get a Spanish lesson thrown in for free. 8-rounder.
8-round event, and the referee, Rafael Ramos.
Oh, the ref getting a big build-up. Here we go, Miguel Banda. And significantly, of his 8 wins, 8 by the short route for Banda. So the boy can obviously bang a little bit. Comes from Mexicali, south of the border, down Mexico way. And here's the hot prospect. It's a formidably strong division, this light fly division, dominated by the little men from the Far East. And we could find out tonight just how good Carbajal is. 10 fights, 10 wins, 7 by the short route. From the Sun Belt, Phoenix, Arizona, and with a big family connection in his corner. He's got his brothers, Danny and Joe, as his chief cornermen. Now, interestingly enough, we see referee Rafael Ramos wearing white gloves, ditto the cornermen. Now, this really is a new innovation in America, and it's all part and parcel of the AIDS scare over there. And safety first is the motto now in the fight game. Round 1 then, slated for 8, Carbajal, white trunks, and his opponent, Miguel Angel Banda, in the black and red. Straight away we can see that Banda, southpaw boy, right hand, right foot forward. That's just identifying both fighters again for you. This match made at 109 pounds. That's 1 pound over the light fly limit of 108. Banda looks a bit open, doesn't he? This opening round. Carrying that guard very wide. Carbajal nicely tucked up, nicely set. Halfway through the first. Good body shot, good Left dig from Carvajal. And opening up well, the right-hander has Banda down. Compulsory 8. That was a good jolting short right, and I did say he looked a little bit open, the Mexican boy, and Carvajal took advantage of that. Now, are we going to see a quick finish? Well, Banda seems to have recovered his senses well. That's to his credit. And Carvajal is going to take this round by 2-point margin. I'll tell you a little bit about the scoring system stateside at the end of this round, but Carvajal taking it very cleanly. Impressive start this by Carvajal. You've got to give him credit. He hasn't gone mad and tried to wade in and finish his man. He obviously respects Banda's punching power that we've talked about. Remember, the Mexicans, 8 victories, all inside the distance. And Carvajal not getting carried away. But well done, Banda, for lasting the round, but very clearly that round going to Michael Carvajal. Promise you a little word about the scoring system. 3 ringside officials, and they operate on a 10-point must. That means the winner of a round gets 10 points, the loser 9, 8, no fractions in American scoring. Let's take a look at that knockdown again. There we go. That right hand didn't travel more than about 9 inches. Down he went, compulsory 8 count. And right through the guard. Now, Banda did well to get up from that. So, Carvajal, that round for me by 10 points to 8. And Miguel Angel Banda has got a wee battle on his hands if he's not going to suffer his 5th professional defeat tonight. His cornerman Harris Risen and Carlos Rosales have done a bit of work on him in that 1-minute break, clearing the head. But he still looks very open, doesn't he? He cuffs Carvajal off well. Carvajal beginning to open up in this second round, but he's a tough little kid, Banda. I saw Michael Carvajal in the US Olympic trials, and he was, I have to say, wasn't that impressive then. He got a silver medal in Seoul. But I think any amateur boxing fan would tell you that the American squad before those Seoul Olympics are not perhaps the strongest they've ever sent out. Certainly not on a par with that golden squad from the Los Angeles Games in '84. Where a lot of the boys have gone on to get world titles. Among them, for example, Mark Breland, who we, here in Britain at any rate, saw dealing very unkindly with our own Lloyd Hunnigan on Saturday. Good right uppercut. Well, Banda showing ample proof how those 8 victories of his have come inside the distance. That was a good shot. Carvajal rocked back on his feet there for a moment. Now that perversely can work in favor of both boys. Banda realizes he can catch Carvajal, but Carvajal realizes that he caught a very good shot. Make no mistake about that, but he weathered it, which is the important thing, and he's still on his feet. So that will do his morale a wee bit of good. becoming quite clear in the second round that Banda realizes that he's not going to outbox Carbajal. So the only thing you can do is go in, throwing leather, and attempt to knock Carbajal out of his stride. This is Michael Carbajal and his corner. Brothers Danny and Joe. And the third cornerman, Jaime Vasquez. Look at that right uppercut. That was a good shot. Well, we're into third round now, scheduled for 8. And it is significant that, as he did then, when Carbajal does catch Banda with a clean shot, the Mexican boy does wobble. Telling you a little earlier that this is a vital fight for Carbajal. It's probably the most vital fight he's had in his short pro career, because in his next bout he's due to challenge Tony DeLuca for the North American title, and clearly a defeat against Banda would set those ambitions back somewhat.
Come on, let it go. No agarre la cabeza, ¿ok?
Carbajal just happy just to probe the defences of Banda with that left jab and looking to unload the right. The right, of course, the traditional counter to a southpaw, as Carbajal indeed showed in the first when he had his opponent down for a mandatory 8 count with a short, jolting right hand, caught him flush on the button. But then, having said that, Banda came back in the second, beautiful right uppercut, which Carbajal did well to weather. Inside the last 30 of round 3. And no doubting, for me at any rate, that as hard as he's being made to work, Carbajal in the driving seat. Some of Banda's attacks a little bit wild. Carbajal catching him on the gloves, on the arms. Those, of course, do not count. They're not scoring punches. And that's another good short right counter. That was the punch that had Banda down in the first. I don't think Banda's thrown a jab yet. Typical rough, tough Mexican light fly, coming in, throwing hooks from all angles, trying to work to the body, and occasionally switching the attack to the head. In Carvajal's corner, like I said, 10 fights, 10 wins, 7 of them inside the distance. He comes into this fight, says Carbajal, off probably the best win of his career to date. That was against Pedro Feliciano, who's ranked 13 in America. That was in his hometown of Phoenix, and it was a very easy points win by all accounts for the former Olympic silver medalist. But if he's to make a mark in the light fly division, it really is one tough division. There's not one single American fighter ranked in the world top 10. Round 4 then, scheduled for 8. Carbajal in the white, building up quite a nice little points lead against the southpaw Miguel Banda from Mexicali in Mexico. Referee Rafael Ramos telling Banda, keep your punches up. Apart from that mandatory 8 count, referee Ramos hasn't had a lot to do. It's been a good clean fight. Carbajal back into a neutral corner. Slips his man well, but still on the ropes. And you're not allowed to do that. Pull your man onto punches. What Banda was trying to do then. See a right hand around the back of Carbajal's neck and the left hand pumping in. Not strictly legal, but in America, well, they're a little more lenient with the rules than we are over here. And Carbajal comes back with a couple of good clubbing shots of his own. Well, you could have this round in a telephone booth. Both boys hanging on. Referee Ramos just packing the gloves away. I have to say that I haven't seen Carbajal as a pro. Saw him as an amateur, obviously, but I haven't seen him as a pro. And I'm pretty impressed with what I've seen so far. He's boxing well under pressure, and what another good right hand that was. Banda somehow stays on his feet. And I was saying, Carbajal is boxing well under pressure. He's picking his shots very well, as we saw with that beautiful right-hander. Banda did well to weather that. And you know, Carbajal might fulfill promoter Bob Arum's ambitions for him to become the first light flyweight to command $1 million purse. He's got a lot to offer on this showing, well, on 3.5 rounds at any rate. Oh, good right-hander that was. Banda did very, very well to stay upright. So drawing to the end of round 4. There's the bell. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Hello again. Welcome back to the Trump Plaza Casino in Atlantic City for round 5 of this pretty good light flyweight contest between former Olympic silver medalist Michael Carbajal in the white and a very, very gutsy Miguel Banda in the black and red. Story of the fight so far. Banda down for a mandatory 8, short jolting right hand in round 1. Came back to very nearly deck Carbajal with a gorgeous right uppercut in round 2. And a moment or so ago in the 4th, we saw another of those Carbajal right-hand blockbusters. Very, very nearly have Banda down again. Now the 4 completed rounds, I've given Carbajal 3 and 1 even. But that scoring doesn't really tell you the full story of the fight, because as you can see just by watching Banda, he's making Carbajal go every inch of the way. Third man of the ring, by the way, Rafael Ramos. Oh, good right hand. He is a bit open to those, isn't he? I know that's the answer to a southpaw, just whap him with the right hand, but that's the 3rd time in this contest that Carbajal's got through. He's tightened up his defense a little bit, Banda, but obviously not enough. But as he has done throughout the bout, Carbajal, center of the ring, really dictating proceedings. Just nicking points with that left jab, just poking it out. And occasionally, when he sees the opening, bringing over that right hand. Banda realized quite early on that there's no way he's going to outpoint Carbajal. So he's been wading in, working to the body, switching to the head occasionally. And he is a puncher, there's no doubt about that, because, as we told you earlier, of his 8 victories, 8 inside the distance. So Carbajal can't leave his chin hanging out, because he could pay the penalty if he does. And around 5, and Banda, not happy about something, not quite sure what, trudges back to his corner. And the Trump Plaza logo you can see in the middle of your screen. Now the Trump Plaza really bidding to become the fight centre, not only for the East Coast, but for all of America. That's Las Vegas you tend to think of as being where all the big fights take place, not all those right-handers. You tend to think of Caesar's Palace as being where the big fights take place, but Donald Trump, owner of the Trump Plaza and much else besides, has got other ideas about that. Mark you, after that well-publicised split with Mrs. Trump, I wonder how much Donald might end up with. Might be down to his last $1 billion. Your heart bleeds for him, doesn't it? Anyway, back in the real world, this is round 6 of a scheduled 8-rounder. Michael Carbajal, unbeaten in white, and Miguel Banda in the black and red. Southpaw from Mexico. You can't help but wonder just how many of these big rights Banda can ship before he goes down again. Bleeding from the nose, not too badly, and again he's caught. I know half the fun of watching televised bouts for all those of you at home is actually scoring the thing yourself. I don't know how you're making it, but as I say, I've given Carbajal every round except the second, which I made even. And he's done throughout this fight. Carbajal content to work behind the jab, build up points, and as he did just then, whip over that right in the season opening. And again, potent weapon. Carbajal's record suggests that he can punch. 10 fights, 10 wins, 7 inside the distance. His last fight against Pedro Feliciano, that did go the points distance, but Banda must have a very, very durable chin. That little knot signifying the last 10 seconds. No downing for me at all. Michael Carbajal firmly in the driving seat, and Miguel Banda in these last 2 rounds, well, I don't think it's overstating the case to say that the only way he can win is to knock Carbajal out, because he is an awful long way behind on points. That's where we are, Nueva Jersey, because this is a Latin American promotion. And really the light fly division, almost a Latin American preserve. Going to any village in Mexico or South America, stand in the town square, shout any light flyweights around here, you get killed in a rush. And Banda realizes that it's all or nothing. Going for it. Good counter. A good counter from Carvajal. That brought Banda up. Tag with another left. Well, Carvajal taking a lot of those shots on his arms, but few got through. It's good roundness for Banda, if he can keep it up. Got through with a right as well, made Carvajal's eyes water. But it's safe to say that apart from that right uppercut in the second round, Banda has yet to penetrate Carvajal's composure. And back comes the Olympic silver medalist, and that's the response. Second count. Back goes the gum shield. Quick rinse. The crowd don't like it. They think that Banda's getting an unfair break, but got a box with a gum shield, and he's been on the canvas. Got to have a little rinse. And a sporting little touch of gloves there. But he's game as they come, Banda. You never know, if Banda persists in coming in swinging, Carvajal might have the chance to finish this inside the distance. And it's that right hand that has been so damaging. And that really has been the key difference between these two boys. That left-right combination. For Banda. Well, Michael Carvajal comes out for the last round, knowing really all he's got to do is stay on his feet, and he's notched up win number 11 out of 11. But he's been made to go in this light fly bout. And don't forget, Carvajal's next bout for the North American title against Tony DeLuca. That should be some scrap. Banda now with little left, gave it his all in that 7th round, suffered another knockdown. But he's been a good trial horse for Carvajal. The boy from Phoenix would have learned a lot from this contest, and he's boxed well. And I'll give him a couple of years, and you could see him up there in the world ratings. And he's punishing Banda now quite severely. First right hand that Banda's managed to block, taking it on his glove. And again. Carvajal now clearly full of confidence. He realizes he has his opponent well beaten. And just keeping up the pressure as this 8th round draws to its conclusion. absolutely no doubt as to who's won this fight at all. Only real question is the points margin if Banda is still on his feet in 25 seconds' time. Inside the last 10. And Banda now very tired. Well, he survived. And for that, we must give him credit. And Carvajal, a little smile, because he knows, and everybody knows surely, that that is win number 11. Cornerman, manager, Brother Danny. Let's catch up with the score.
We have a unanimous decision.
Well, that's no surprise.
Tenemos una decisión unánime. El juez Joseph Pasquale scores 70-80. Milo Savage 79-71. And Rich Murray 71-79.
Well, pretty conclusive. Two of the judges
still undefeated
gave Banda one round, but unanimous for Michael Carvajal. Well, from the light flies, we'll be back in just a moment with the light welters. Stay